When we think of post-truth and a definition of it, Ralph Keyes wrote a book, The Post-Truth Era, in 2004. And for him, post-truth really talks about a moral aspect. It's post-truth as lying and dishonesty. He really highlights that we are living now in a culture where there's not a lot of disincentives for lying. And we're also seeing that people are really encouraged to promote different aspects of themselves, to exaggerate their credentials. Underpinning this whole idea of truth is this culture that promotes these certain ideas. And I think that really also relates to our conceptions of truth and knowledge. And what we're finding, a lot of research is showing that when people are searching for information on the internet, for example, they're conflating their searches for actual knowledge. So they think they know something when in fact they don't.
So what constitutes a good fake is how well it resembles the real thing, or what people want to see in the real thing, or how well it resonates with a certain kind of predisposition, as one can also learn from the famous film F is for Fake by Orson Welles about forgers. In this situation, we can recognize a demonstrated need for citizens to more easily recognize reliable information and to more clearly distinguish it from opportunistic profiteering and advertising, as well as from ideological campaigns.
Well, one of the reasons why the far right is interesting to look at in terms of digital media is because, on the one hand, the far right is characterized, as we know, by doctrinal difference, by ideological fracture, by very deeply held and often irreconcilable positions. On the other hand, it's characterized by fluidity and by ideological promiscuity and by sharing between contexts. And this is something which is hugely intensified in a digital media context. The capacity to share and to exchange and to adapt across borders in a transnational media environment is something that the far right have adopted to, in many ways, very, very successfully.
The elephant in the room is social media, because a plurality of people are getting their news from social media, not from even the media, from any one outlet. So, and I think it's the affordance of social media to allow people and to allow organisations like Cambridge Analytics to go in and target people and to target the worst kind of emotions of people. And I think that's actually what the issue is.
For most television viewers, the genre, the reality genre, is understood as a genre of editing, and we're also living in an era of self-editing. We self-edit ourselves all the time, and as reality TV blurred the boundaries between truth and lies, because we know it's a lie, we know it's all edited, but we still watch it and believe it, and we still want to believe that the persons there are authentic, like Trump, like he was the authentic manager. Maybe he can be the authentic president. So I think that maybe it's a better term for nowadays is a self-editing era, which undermines all truth. Maybe it's a better term than post-truth. It's a self-editing era.
TV remains an important media set, but one of the great drawbacks of TV is that it hasn't been searchable, it hasn't been adequately quotable, and it hasn't been adequately analyzable at machine scale. As a knowledge resource, we think it's relatively untapped, and we'd like to model about how all kinds of content creators can open up their archives of TV in general, of TV news in particular, and allow people to treat them as a knowledge base.
In an age where searching for tutorials on YouTube and information on Wikipedia is second nature to young inquiring minds, casting digital outputs as non-traditional is out of sync with the reality of the society that we're operating in. The vision of research in traditional and non-tradition is at odds with community engagement.
The sense of immediacy is, it sort of overtakes the agenda of everything, for that matter. And in terms of academia, we know that probably the most significant work takes time. You're not going to produce evidence-based research that's going to be meaningful unless you're working at it for some time. And that goes against the grain of what's expectations, the kind of contemporary expectations around the headline.